I'm going to change topics a little bit here. This also showed up on the theory test. I want to show you how to learn some rules. So the rules are actually available for free. So I'm just going to write world sailing, enter. World sailing. I'm going to go straight to technical because that's where they hide the rules. Alright. Documents and rules over here. Where are we? Racing Rules of Sailing Plus. There's case books and all sorts of fun stuff. We scroll down a little bit. Here we are. 2017 to 2020 Racing Rules of Sailing. The 2021 or 2022 ones will probably come out after the next Olympics, whenever that might be. Ooh, look, there we are. Racing Rules of Sailing. Wonder what's in here. Hey, look, it's our flags. So you wondered what those things mean? Who decided this? Well, it's in the rule book. Anyway, I'm getting a little bit of a segue here, although this also answers a bunch of questions on the test. So going down a little bit, oh, there's some table of contents. Then we got some definitions coming up. Here are the definitions. The definitions are actually really complicated, a bit frustrating. Might be worth getting a Learn the Rules book. But right after the definitions, we've got some big ideas. Basic principles. Sportsmanship and the rules. Competitors in the sport of sailing are governed by a body of rules that they are expected to follow and enforce. A fundamental principle of sportsmanship is that when competitors break a rule, they will promptly take a penalty, which may be to retire. So retire means taking a fleet score or taking one worse than last place. So you can finish your race and out of sportsmanship, you can decide that maybe you did something unfair and you can just take a fleet score. And that's a really respectful thing to do to your competitors if you don't feel that you beat them fairly. So in one of the questions on the test, I asked whether there's anything you could do other than do circles. You can always choose to retire if you think you did something bad. Like if you hurt someone, accidentally sailed into them or whatever, it's not really super nice thing to finish the race and get credit for it. It would be nicer of you to retire out of respect for them. So I just did Control F, and now I have a little search function down here. I believe it's Rule 41. I just did some. Here we go. No, not 41. It is going to be Rule 40. Somewhere in here. Good old penalties. There we go. 44.1. That always trips me up. Not 41. Taking a penalty. A boat may take a 2 turns penalty when she may have broken one or more rules of Part 2. Rules of Part 2 are basically just the rules. It's called When Two Boats Meet. The rest of the rules are fancy ways of like running the regatta and don't pump and those types of things. So if you break a rule when 2 boats hit or something like that, you're allowed to do your 720, which is actually a 2 turns penalty, tack jibe, or jibe tack, or broken rule 31, which is a fancy way of saying hitting a mark. You can do a 1 turn penalty. So you actually have to decide which penalty to take. If you foul someone and break their boat, a 2 turn penalty just might not do it in terms of penalizing yourself. You may need to take a fleet score, which is deciding to retire. And if you hurt someone or break their boat and you just do your circles, they can actually still protest you and still get you kicked out because the appropriate penalty was to retire. I could look those rules up, but let's keep this simple. So the other thing that came up on the test, well, simple, yeah, right. The other thing that came up on this test, I have written down, it's Rule 61. Protest requirements. So on the test, I asked what the most important thing after you foul someone or someone fouls you. Probably someone fouls you. You probably shouldn't hail protest if you foul someone. But if someone fouls you, you can read out their sale number. That's great. That helps you remember. You can ask for a witness. That's going to help your case in the protest. But there's not even going to be a protest if you don't hail protest, or if you hail protest so quietly that nobody notices. So a boat intending to protest shall inform the other boat at the first reasonable opportunity when her protest will concern an incident in the racing area that she was involved in or saw. She shall hail protest and conspicuously display a red flag. We actually don't need to display a red flag because we are less than 6 meters. So that's for bigger boats, the red flag. But yeah, so actually more important than reading out their sale number and getting a witness is hailing protest loudly so that the protest can actually happen. Not to say that you shouldn't still do the other stuff. So there's a whole bunch of fun things you can learn for free by downloading the PDF on World Sailing. I put it on my phone, and then I open it in Books. I have an iPhone, and the Books app has a search function, so you can be fancy and do things like, obstruction. What does obstruction mean? Well, oh dear, there's, how many times is it? Anyway, it's written a million times in this document. Kiteboarding racing rules. That's exciting. I haven't read that one yet. Anyway, so you can see how this is a wormhole. This document's really complicated, so I encourage you to check out the helpful, illustrated, organized rule documents before diving right into this. Might as well download it though.